Final review of Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes. Expectedly, this turned out to be a short series since this game didn't have any main game boss fights. I'm not discounting that there were some in the extra missions, but I didn't get around to those since they're on the sidelines. I might later though. Yes, the rumors about this game are true. The total time I spent on this game amounted to around 90 minutes to 2 hours, and unfortunately the entire game map is incredibly small, being just one non-ridiculous military base with a small prison, troopers camp, and a main building and airfield. Anyway, the story of this game is that years after the events of the Peace Walker incident, there was the incredibly odd and stupid decision within that game of having an optional canonical mission at the end, requiring grinding for the completion of Mother Base and getting all of the Zeke parts, which is why I didn't bother with it when I was doing that review series. Concerning Paz turning out to be an agent of Cypher called Pacifica Ocean, who was tasked to retrieve Metal Gear Zeke that Big Boss had been working on, and after it had been defeated, Mother Base put it back together and Paz has not been heard from until now, when an agent called Skullface captured Chico in his camp. Big Boss must go in to rescue him after he'd been tortured mercilessly looking for information about Cypher. Afterwards, he reveals that Paz might be alive and gives him poor instructions about where she had been taken by Skullface's Zoth agents. Yes, the Zoth agents. This is the point in the game where I had to pull a double take because Skullface is so uncreative that he actually stole the symbol of Big Boss's group Fox and just reversed it. He's actually taking time and money in order to rip off another group that doesn't officially exist, and it's all for naught anyway because he has to hide his group's affiliation in the helicopter that he took to get off the island. What was the point of that? If it was to make Fox look bad, it doesn't work because again, no one knows who Fox is. You aren't trying to copy what Fox does because the only thing that Zoth wants is to find Cypher. I don't get it. You steal the name and the symbol of another mercenary group for literally no reason, and you spend money printing up reversed Fox symbol badges for your troops that they then rip off and then throw into the sea. I'm starting to think that Skullface's obsession with finding Cypher has alienated all of his other allies because he's come to the point where all of his decisions are made up on the spot. What, are you planning on taking over the Philosophers? Because killing the Philosopher leader is just going to cause squabbling amongst the other members. So yeah, Skullface isn't too smart in the head. Despite my terrible accent work, later we find Paz nearly dead from being tortured even worse than Chico since she knows where Cypher or Zero is because she needed to meet him personally in order to get her original mission. Big Boss saves her and this cutscene that follows is actually hard to watch. So if you're highly squeamish, I suggest looking away now or turning away and just listening to my explanation of what's happening. Now, because Skullface knew that Big Boss would end up saving Paz, he actually planted a bomb on her, and no, it's not in her pocket or her shoe or anything reasonable. They actually planted a bomb under her intestines. Yes, this cutscene is going to depict the medic on board the helicopter in cringing detail no less, cut Paz's stomach open, and extract the bomb that's about the size of a cantaloupe. Bleh! Bleh. Gross. Afterwards, Paz gets up and reveals that they planted a second bomb on her in an unspecified location, which I choose to think was in her ass. So Paz takes herself and her ass bomb and throws herself out of the helicopter, exploding before hitting the water, making the rescue operation completely pointless. The last thing we see in this game is the agents of Zoth overtaking Mother Base and destroying it completely using an official investigation to gain access, and after rescuing Cause from Mother Base, a random enemy helicopter swoops in out of nowhere and ends up destroying both of them on impact. The last thing we get to know is that Big Boss had survived the crash. Obviously they couldn't do Phantom Pain without him. But he lost his left arm and ended up losing 9 years of his life in a coma, and then the game just ends. Gameplay-wise, it was actually pretty good. Responsive, intuitive, but the lack of a radar system does make sneaking around all the more frustrating, but a hell of a lot more organic. And the game removes the usual ration-based health system for a modern regenerating one, like in any COD game or derivative, which takes away a lot from the original identity of the series. The game gives us some incredibly useful weapons at the start of the game, a silenced tranq pistol and a machine gun, but you should have just kept us with the tranq pistol, because having a machine gun in a stealth game is barely useful. It's like setting up a flare every time you use it to the people 15 feet around you. Not a good thing to have going when exact alert counters have also been foregone in this game. There was one thing about this mission that I just fucking hated and I wanted to die in a flaming hole. One aspect that could have been easily cut from the game entirely and was just added as arbitrary and useless filler for an incredibly short game, and that has to be the goddamn double fuck cassette tracking puzzle. What is the point of this stupid goddamn puzzle? The general idea is to use a cassette player that was recording when pause was being moved in order to find exactly where Zoff took her, and this idea could have worked if it was given to the codec characters and analyzed, then fed back into our map to get a location. That's not what they go for here. Instead, they go for the realistic approach and require that you use the recording to figure out where she is. Game, I think you discarded your realism card when you decided that you could give Big Boss holographic technology in the freaking 1970s. This recording tracking will lead the player to scout out the entire location seemingly at random because you can't use recorded sounds to find something. It doesn't translate because there's no feedback to the actual environment to tell us if we're on the right track. It's a confusion engine towards the player that didn't have to be there. You could have easily replaced it with another objective flag. The only good thing I could say about this part of the game is that her location is incredibly obvious just by common sense. She's right next to the biggest building on the map. The other thing I don't understand is why we're bothering to rescue Chico in the first place. I can't imagine that he's been useful as a soldier beyond the others that Big Boss has also gathered. It seems like the only reason that we're doing this is that he has useful information to find Pause. And speaking of Pause, if Skullface wanted us to rescue her, then why is security still at the same level when we retrieve her, and why is the alarm set off when we do pick her up? Yes, it's a nitpick because overall the story for this game is concise and well done and worth playing for giving us some stakes because of this pause problem. The unfortunate part is that while everything in this game was solid and well done, I can't recommend it to anybody because what important things that happened in it could have been boiled down to a 2-paragraph synopsis. All we do is rescue Chico and Pause, and that's all the game has in this small location. It's definitely not worth the $15 to $20 that it's currently sitting at, since the entire main game feels like a DLC pack, and it could have been easily added to Phantom Pain, just like what Kojima did with Metal Gear Solid 2 and the Solid Snake parts of the game, because just like those parts, they didn't set up much of the plot of MGS2, and could have been left out almost in its entirety. However, for what we did get in this game, here are its final scores. Now for my next project, I'll actually be taking a bit of a break to work on bigger videos. Yes, I know it's a shame, but I'm sure you guys will live on without me fine for at least a little while. And they'll be worth the wait, I assure you. But after those are done, I'll reveal my next franchise project since I've played the main Metal Gear series games that I wanted to get through this year, and we'll be taking a break from the franchise until the release of Phantom Pain at the end of 2015. Big things are in the works, and I'm excited for when the day comes that I can share it with you, but for now, I'll leave you as I always do with a victory for gamers. See you next time.